with everything going on in the world at the moment, and with the current wealth of knowledge about meditation and yoga, more so than ever before, why do we still have so many wars, corruption, unhappiness, problems in the world? First answer to that is the ultimate answer, and we may not like this answer. We may not fully embrace this answer, but please contemplate on this. Everything that we are going through in the world as earthlings, as a humanity, on a global level, is because we're exercising one of the possibilities in consciousness. And since there are infinite ways and infinite possibilities, but just that set of possibilities are being now highlighted by the instrumentality of our being humans in this, that present the picture of how we live in this day and age. This brings, or may help to understand this, the example of fractals, trajectory, and patterns. In other words, it replicates itself. If you understand how fractals work, that's how system replicates itself. Structure replicates itself. And there is this trajectory. So whatever we're going through currently, despite of all this rise of spiritual methodologies and wide application of them, right, and listed in your question, why it is still, there is so much war, corruption, this and that. Why can't we live in a world without this? Because at the moment we cannot conceive to live without it. It's part of our reality, inherent setup of the fractal way we are functioning and highlighting this in consciousness for ourselves to experience. So this, for it to change, it needs to reform itself into another structure that will begin to replicate itself. But that cannot happen just from few people meditating here, there, and then suddenly this new structure comes into being, because there's also a trajectory. And we're living that trajectory of the civilization and the culture, which at some point we begin to embrace. I gave these examples, and people, of course, you have sensed that I speak about it with great sense of sarcasm, with great sense of kind of contempt, when I speak about these ideas promulgated, let's say, by likes of Elon Musk, you know, this, that one day we will have tours to Mars, just to kill a weekend, right? Why do we have these ideas? Why do we have these ideas? It's important to understand that at some point it was at the level of little tiptoeing, the little, like, you know, then it rose into something and began to grow. So the epics that we had before, they were epics mostly, if not all, psychological in nature. One way or the other, applicable to the way we live in this world in terms of our place. But this story began to be replaced by this so-called greater thinking, this so-called greater dreaming, the so-called calling Earth just a cradle of civilization, but we cannot sit in the cradle all our life. as Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the father of cosmic programs, said, who, by the way, was Russian. These stories began somewhere. They take over the world's imagination. And this is just one example. You see? We are lagging behind because by now we should have colonized the moon. Moon trips should have been already a thing of at least a couple of decades before. But the talks are now, we're going to, and these people simply carrying these vibrations, this trajectory, a possibility in consciousness. They themselves, their minds, their imagination. I could say also in a casual conversation, I could say it comes from nowhere but shallowness and escapism and inability to witness life as it is, that we want to go on Mars. Why the fuck do we want to go on Mars, tell me? What's on Mars? Every day is different on a planet Earth. I've lived 55 years, I haven't seen one similar sunset. And I want to see sunset and sunrise every day, and I don't need any Martian sunset. And if the Martian comes, I have to, can you imagine how much it will take to explain them what a good tea tastes like? We'll have no idea whatsoever. And you cannot grow tea on Mars anyway. So what the heck? It's a complete waste of time, from my perspective. But some people think, oh my God, red, you walk in red canyons. These are all branches of the seeds that somehow were planted and grew. War is an inherent part of our upbringing. We play war all the time. You cannot have a sprinkle in a pool. You need to make it in the form of the latest gun for a kid to play, right? So that he has fun by shooting you with water. This all linked and connects to this whole thing, you see? And I'm not speaking this in non-nostalgic or some kind of terms. We live in a very interesting time, a culmination of sorts. We live in the time when a certain world stories wither themselves and become old. And this is also need to be fully acknowledged. You see? How are we going to live from now on is not known. And that phase of not knowing better be long enough, deep enough, and silent enough within. Because if it will come immediately from the noise of what we know, what we need to do, it will be reshuffling of the same fractals, and we will have the same thing, but maybe the area of its influence just shifted. You see? Just like Bob Marley said, mental slavery. Free man, what does it mean? Or free woman?